When someone has an accident, sometimes they have what's called a mild traumatic brain injury, mTBI. And really that's a fancy way of talking about somebody suffering a concussion. And most people are familiar with concussions. You see people have concussions on the football field all the time. What people don't always recognize is that you can have a concussion from an accident and not lose consciousness. To be a mild traumatic brain injury, you really just have to have an alteration of your consciousness for a period of time. And that period of time is 30 minutes or less. If you had an alteration of consciousness longer than that, then you're talking about a more severe brain injury. But if you have an alteration of consciousness for that period of time, somebody after an accident appears addled, like they just not sure what's going on, then they may very well have a mild traumatic brain injury. And to get the brain injury from an accident, for example, car accident, which is where we see it, you can get it from hitting your head on something where the brain is concussed. Or you can also get it by rapid acceleration, deceleration forces, and that happens quite a bit. So we see it a fair amount in our automobile cases that somebody will have a concussion or mild traumatic brain injury. The real issue is, does the person get over it or do they have continuing problems? A lot of times what a person starts to experience after having that type of injury is they start having headaches, what they call post-traumatic headaches. But they also start having an assortment of symptoms like memory loss, word finding problems, and they have perhaps dizziness, some visual type problems. And all of those things can happen. You don't have to have all of them, but some of those things are indicative that you have a mild traumatic brain injury. You ought to go to the doctor, obviously, because you want to have the diagnostic testing to make sure you don't have a significant brain bleed or something of that nature. So you've got to do that. But to have a mild traumatic brain injury, you don't have to have anything abnormal on a scan. You just have this constellation of symptoms. When it becomes significant is if it lasts more than 3 months. I would say most doctors are going to tell you that the signs and symptoms of a concussion, all those symptoms will go away within that time period. But that doesn't happen for everybody, unfortunately. It's probably 15 to 20% I've seen studies that say that go on to have permanent problems in the areas I just talked about. And they can get help by seeing doctors through medications that help them with the memory loss. Some of them have concentration difficulties and they can be given medications for that. And the other thing is, it's obviously important to see a lawyer because a mild traumatic brain injury is significant. I think that I need to point this out, that calling it a mild traumatic brain injury just differentiates it from a medium or a severe brain injury. It doesn't mean that the injury itself is mild in the effect that it has on the person who suffers that injury. And you know, if you don't go to an attorney who knows how to evaluate that case, you're likely going to have unsatisfactory result because you have to take into account, and particularly if it keeps going on more than 3 months, then you need to definitely have an attorney on it and also be getting medical attention.